Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into a really core concept in Java programming, enums. If you're looking to kind of quickly get why this feature is so powerful and, how it can make your code way better, you're definitely in the right place. We've pulled together a bunch of sources trying to get the best insights, really cut through the jargon. Our mission here is simple. Help you get truly well informed about enums, maybe even uncover some surprising bits and give you practical stuff you can use like right away.
That's right. Enums, fundamentally, they're there to make Java programs safer and, honestly, just easier to grasp for any developer. Understanding them shows you how to define this fixed, predictable set of named values. And that's incredibly valuable for, building solid software.
Okay, so let's unpack this then. What are enums in Java, really? At its sort of simplest level, an enum, it's short for enumeration, right? It's this special type in Java, lets you define a fixed set of named values. Think of it like a menu, but a menu with very limited choices that are already decided. You can only pick from that list. So things like days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, or maybe specific colors, red, green, blue. And these values, they're constants. They don't change while your program's running. For a real world example, maybe imagine you're building an app and you need task statuses, like pending, in progress, completed, maybe failed. Using an enum means you can only assign one of those four options. That's it. It just stops you cold from typing errors or weird inputs like accidentally setting a status to pending or maybe done. Those kinds of bugs can be a nightmare to find later.
Exactly. And technically speaking, what enums are doing is letting you create your own custom data type effectively. They lock down the choices to that small known set, makes your program way more predictable. And what's really powerful, I think, is that Java treats enums as, a special kind of class. This means they could do more than just list names. They can actually hold data, have their own behaviors. We'll get into that bit more soon.
Right, but you might be sitting there thinking, okay, why do I need this? Why not just use, I don't know, strings like Monday or numbers like 1 for tasks? I mean, you could do that, couldn't you?
You could, yeah.
Mm.
But those ways, they often lead to these subtle little problems that enums just elegantly solve.
Okay, so what are those problems? What are the big wins for using enums?
All right, good question. Enums tackle several common programming headaches. First off, clearer programs, way clearer. Instead of mysterious numbers or just random strings floating around, you use meaningful names like day.monday or color.red. Your code immediately becomes easier to read, easier to understand, not just for you, but like for anyone else looking at it. Makes teamwork smoother.
Okay, clarity. That makes sense. What else?
Second, and this is a huge one, fewer mistakes, or rather catching mistakes earlier. Enums give you compile time safety. So if you try to use a value that isn't in the enum, like typing Monday instead of Monday,
Ah, the compiler catches it.
exactly, Java flags it as an error before you even run the program. You don't find out later when something crashes. It forces you to fix those typos or invalid values, like using 8 for a day of the week, right up front. Less debugging pain.
Nice. Okay, so clearer code, fewer runtime bugs.
Third, type safety. It sort of builds on the last point. Enums ensure that a variable declared with the enum type can only hold one of the predefined values. You literally cannot assign anything else to it. This prevents a whole class of bugs related to invalid data getting assigned where it shouldn't.
Makes sense. Safe data.
And fourth, they can have extra features. This is where the special class idea comes in. Unlike plain numbers or strings, enums can actually store additional information or perform actions. Think about a size enum, maybe small, medium, large. Each of those could hold, say, the actual measurements in inches or centimeters.
Oh, interesting. So the enum value itself knows more.
Precisely. Or our traffic light enum again. Red, yellow, green. Each can know how long it's supposed to stay on.
Sure.
Maybe even have a little method to tell you what the next light is. Try doing that cleanly with just the number 1, 2, or 3, or the strings red, yellow, green. It gets messy fast.
Yeah, I can see that.
And finally, just to round it off, they're great for teams. Consistency. In group projects, enums make sure everyone uses the exact same values. No arguments about whether it's status.completed or status.completed or just completed. Everyone uses status.completed. It avoids confusion, makes merging code easier, simplifies maintenance. It's just cleaner.
Okay, so the bottom line seems to be, if you've got a fixed set of options, things that don't really change, enums are, well, pretty much indispensable. They make your programs more reliable, easier to read, and just simpler to manage long term.
Definitely. Solid summary.
All right, so we get the what and the why. Now, how about the how? Let's peek under the hood a bit, but keep it simple. How do these things actually work in Java? You said it's like creating a custom type.
Yeah, that's the gist. When you define an enum, you're essentially creating a new type that holds only those specific named constants you lifted. Think of that restaurant menu again, maybe just for drinks, coffee, TA, juice. If you define a drink enum with those, then a variable of type drink can only be coffee, TA, or juice, nothing else. The system enforces it.
So how do you actually, like, create one and use it?
Super simple. To create it, you just use the enum keyword and list the constants, usually in all caps, like enum months, January, February, March, and so on. Then, to use it, you declare a variable of that type and assign one of the constants to it, like month, current month, January. Then you can use current month in your code, maybe in an if statement or a switch.
Okay, straightforward enough. But you mentioned there are, like, special classes.
Right, and this is the really cool part. Each enum constant, like month January, isn't just a name. It's actually an object instance of the enum type month in this case. And the enum itself, month, is treated as a special kind of class.
An object. Wow, okay.
Yeah. This means enums can have fields, variables, constructors to initialize those fields, and methods, just like regular classes. So back to the traffic light enum, red, yellow, green. It could have a field, say, duration seconds, and a constructor that sets that duration differently for red, yellow, and green when they're created. It could even have a method like getDuration that returns the value of that field. It's much more than just a list.
That is powerful, more than I realized.
And Java gives you some helpful tools for free with enums, built-in stuff. You can easily get a list of all the values in an enum using a static method called values. Like month.values would give you an array, January, February, March. Really handy for loops. You can also convert a string name back into an enum constant using value, like month.value of January gives you the month January object.
Oh, nice. Saves writing that stuff yourself.
Exactly. And looping back to safety, that value of method. If you
Yeah.
give it a string that doesn't match any constant, like January,
It breaks.
it throws an exception, stops things right there, tells you there's an error. So again, it prevents bad data from sneaking in during runtime. Keeps your program safer.
And you mentioned they're efficient, too, and immutable.
Generally, yes, they're pretty lightweight object-wise. And crucially, they are immutable. Once an enum constant like month, January is created, its state can't change.
Why is that good?
Consistency. You know that month January always represents the same concept. It also makes them inherently thread safe, which is a bonus in complex applications. You don't have to worry about different parts of your program messing with the enum state.
Got it. Okay, so they're objects, they can have data and methods, Java helps you use them, and they're safe and consistent. That's a lot packed into one feature.
It really is. And building on that idea of having data and methods, it's useful to kind of think about enums in two main flavors. You've got your, let's call them simple enums, and then enhanced enums. Both are beginner-friendly to start with, but they offer different levels of capability.
Okay, tell me about simple enums first. Sounds like the basic version.
Exactly. These are just straightforward lists of constants. No extra data, no special methods usually.
Like our direction example. North, south, east, west. That's it.
Perfect example. Or maybe game states like paused, running, ended. Or order types in an e-commerce app, pickup, delivery. They're super common, very easy to define, and often all you need, especially when you're starting out. Great way to get comfortable with the concept.
Right. So what makes an enum enhance?
Enhanced enums are where you leverage that special class power we talked about. You start adding fields, constructors, and methods to the enum itself.
Ah, like the size enum knowing its measurements or the traffic light knowing its duration.
Precisely. Let's take another example. A coin enum. You could have penny, nickel, dime, quarter. A simple enum just lists those. But an enhanced coin enum could have an integer field called value in cents. And a constructor so that when penny is created, its value in cents is set to 1, nickel gets 5, dime gets 10, and quarter gets 25. And then you could add a method right inside the coin enum. Say, public int get value, return this.value in cents. So now, if you have a variable coin, myCoin equals coin.nickel, you can call myCoin.getValue, and it will return 5.
Whoa, okay. The enum constant itself tells you its value. That's really neat.
Isn't it? Or think about grade enums in a student system, A, B, C, D, F. Each could store the minimum score required, maybe 90 for A, 80 for B, etc. And maybe a method is passing grade. This ability to bundle data and related behavior right with the constant makes your code incredibly organized and expressive, especially as you tackle more complex problems. Enhanced enums become really valuable then.
It really clicks. Seeing how they can hold data and actions makes them seem much more powerful than just a list of names. So, to kind of bring this home, let's think about some practical, everyday places we might see Enums working behind the scenes, connecting the theory to, actual use.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking about real-world scenarios helps solidify it.
Hmm.
Okay, consider a calendar app. We mentioned day of week, Monday, Tuesday, etc. Using an enum ensures you only deal with valid days, but you could enhance it. Add a Boolean field as weekend and set it into the constructor. So Saturday and Sunday have is weekend equal true. Then you can just call a day.is weekend anywhere in your code. Super clean logic.
Simple, but effective. Okay, what else?
How about a pizza ordering system?
Yeah.
You definitely have a topping enum. Pepperoni, mushroom, onion, olives, whatever. This prevents anyone ordering, I don't know, chocolate or sawdust topping because they're not in the enum.
Good point. Avoids disaster.
Right. And you could enhance that too. Each topping could store its price, maybe allergy information, or whether it's vegetarian.
Ah, okay. Lots of possibilities there. One more.
Sure. Think about a video game. You often have character classes, right?
Right.
Warrior, mage, archer. An enum is perfect for that. And again, you can enhance it. The warrior constant could store its base strength and health. The magian could store its base intelligence and mana. You could even add methods like calculate attack damage specific to each class right within the enum. It really helps organize game logic.
These examples really help illustrate it. Okay, so for someone listening, maybe just starting out with Java or wanting to use enums more effectively, what are some key tips?
Good question. Let's list a few practical takeaways.
Yeah, let's give them some actionable advice.
First, use enums mainly for fixed sets of values. Things that genuinely don't change often or ever. Days of the week, planets, standard statuses. If the list needs to be dynamic, maybe loaded from a database, an enum probably isn't the right tool.
Makes sense. Use the right tool for the job. Okay, tip one.
Second, choose clear descriptive names. Self-documenting code is always better. Status. Processing is way clearer than status P or just the number 2. Use full words, make it obvious.
Readability counts. Got it.
Third, start simple. Don't feel you have to make every enum enhanced right away. Get comfortable with basic enums first, just listing constants. Add fields and methods later, if and when you actually need them.
Don't overcomplicate things early. Good advice.
Fourth, use enums in your decision-making logic. They work brilliantly with switch statements. A switch on an enum variable is much safer and clearer than switching on strings or integers, because the compiler can even warn you if you forget a case.
Oh, the compiler helps with switch too. That's useful.
Yeah, it can check for exhaustiveness. And finally, tip 5, experiment. Seriously, the best way to really get enums is to try them out. Build a small project, make a simple game state manager, model pizza toppings, whatever. See them in action.
Solid tips. Use them for fixed sets, name them well, start simple, use them in switches, and just practice. So, wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean for you listening in? Enums, fundamentally, they seem like a fantastic tool, especially if you're newer to Java. Maybe they make programs safer, definitely clearer, and just more organized from the get-go. They stop errors before they happen, they make code easier to read for everyone, and they've got this cool ability to grow with your needs, starting simple and adding features later.
That's a great summary. They prevent errors, boost readability, and offer flexibility. And maybe just a final thought for you to mull over. Think about your own digital life. When you're shopping online and pick a t-shirt size, small, medium, large, X large, or maybe you're using a project management tool, and tasks have statuses like to do, in progress, done, or even levels in a game, easy, medium, hard. How might enums be that quiet, powerful tool working behind the scenes in those apps? Making those choices clear for you, the user, but also making life much simpler and safer for the developers who built it. It's this fundamental building block that helps create robust, easy-to-maintain software. Something definitely worth exploring more on your own.